Bases dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down Here. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday. It's a Match Day Wednesday. It's a lot of Match Days Wednesday. There's a whole bunch of games going on that we got to talk about today. We've got a busy schedule in MLS. We've got a Champions League schedule. There's Copa Sudamericana games. It will be a wild Wednesday in the soccer world. It was a wild Tuesday night in the sports world where I guess... a couple things about the World Series real quick before we jump in, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it because this isn't baseball down here, but I believe we now have our first positive coronavirus test for somebody who was in a bubble.
I think that is accurate, yes.
Like, no reports on him leaving the bubble at any point.
No.
He didn't go to the edge of the bubble to get takeout or anything that we know
I'm aware of.
And he tested positive, and he was allowed to play while waiting for the results of the confirmation test. And then when they got it in the middle of the game, he was pulled. And then, when they won the World Series, he came back out to celebrate.
And we're talking Justin Turner of the LA Dodgers.
What?
Yeah.
Where is there any logic in any of this?
That'd be a no, sir.
Okay. Ricky, we're talking about it because I don't know what the LA Dodgers are doing here, because there's been a whole lot of other sports organizations that have acted very, very responsibly with all of this, pulling players when they test positive and they're awaiting a confirmation test, for example. I know, it's the World Series. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, if the game hadn't been won by the Dodgers, I don't know if Game 7 would have happened today.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm blown away by how reckless this was on multiple fronts.
Yes.
He shouldn't have been playing because there was already a positive test and needed to be confirmed. He should not have been back on the field to celebrate. Oh, he's part of the team. And blah, blah, blah. He's sitting next to a cancer survivor.
Without a mask.
I mean...
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The reason I'm angry about it is this stuff affects people's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people's jobs who have nothing to do with said selfish manager, selfish player, and selfish organization. You know, like, this is not the example to be setting for professional sports. Please, MLS, NFL, college football, NBA, and yes, I'm including college football in the professional sports category because we know it is. All the other leagues around the world, do not pay attention to Major League Baseball's buffoonery. Trademark Nick Alifi.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention to that nonsense because that's not the way to do this stuff. I don't know. I'm just very, very ticked off that this stuff is happening. Ragamuffin, the second positive, this is the problem, and this is why I said it the way that I did. The first positive was positive. The second positive was positive. If it was one positive, okay, fine. Maybe it could be a false positive. But you still don't play the person while you're awaiting that. If you don't have the results by game time, he doesn't play. You can't take that chance. That's the thing. Like, I understand. Look, I know all the odds. I know it's not likely that it's going to run around between everybody who was on the field that day. Trust me, we've talked about the sports side of this all the time. I'm talking about his teammates. He's got a presumptive positive because he tested positive. You've got to sit him until you get it confirmed. If you can't get it confirmed before the time the game starts, he's not playing.
Yeah.
And then after he tests positive twice, he's not back on the field without a mask celebrating.
Yeah.
Like, he's tested positive twice.
Mm-hmm.
Not once. I get false positives and all that, but guys, we've got to be more careful. That's what's so mind-blowing about it. You have to be careful. If you don't want to be careful, look, then this is what it is. Then just forget all of it. Just do whatever and see what happens and roll the dice. I don't want to play those odds. I don't want to play those odds for anybody I care about. Be careful. Be smart. Follow the protocols that they put a whole lot of time and a lot of arguing back and forth between the Players Association and the league in putting them in, and you throw them out the biggest time of the year. It's garbage. It's garbage. And it's embarrassing. Anyway, enough baseball down here, unless, John, you want to chime in on anything.
Rob Manfred, when he was asked about Justin Turner after the game, says, it's a bittersweet night for us. Obviously, we're concerned he was immediately isolated to prevent spread, end quote.
No, he wasn't immediately isolated. You're a liar, Rob Manfred. He was on the field after getting a second positive test without a mask, sitting next to his manager who's a cancer survivor. No, you're a liar, Rob Manfred. Don't give me that nonsense. You knew when you told the Dodgers to pull him out of the game. That's not being immediately isolated. You're a liar. That's absurd. And yes, I'm with Ricky Ricardo right now about hating LA.
Yeah, we learned during the game Justin was positive. He was immediately isolated to prevent the spread.
Liar. Absolute freaking liar. You can't say that. We saw it.
Yeah.
No, you did not isolate him. You can't say that. That is incredible. I guess we all just imagined it. Okay, fine. Manfred tells us we all didn't see this. The sky is not blue. I mean, come on.
Okay, and Wall Street Journal this morning. Turner went into isolation after finding out he tested positive, eventually returned to the field on his own accord. This is from Jared Diamond.
So how long did he go into isolation? For about 20 minutes? Well, it's an inning in a baseball game now, so maybe that could be 3 hours. I don't know, but not long. It was the eighth inning when he was pulled.
Yeah, when MLB officials found out, they instructed security to get Turner back into isolation. Turner refused to leave.
Well, the Dodgers should be paying a whole lot of fines, and they should be getting every single person that was near him tested, which is the whole team. They should be very careful with this. I hope they care about their employees. We'll find out. Unbelievable. Yeah, he was immediately... No, Manfred, explain what happened then. Yes, we told him to isolate. We told the Dodgers to keep him isolated. He went out on his own accord. Say it. Throw him under the bus because he did it. Don't say he was immediately isolated because obviously that isolation attempt didn't really work, did it? And he shouldn't have been playing anyway because you should have been able to get a positive or a test result back before the game started. If you couldn't, then he can't play. Unbelievable. Anyway, unbelievable.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm angry because look, this stuff affects people's jobs, mine included. So yeah, I'm a little angry about it. Do I like to hear that seasons are going to be pushed back next year? No. Why? I'd like to work. Working is good.
Yes.
Getting paid is good.
Yes.
When people do stupid things, that affects sports' ability to do their thing and to act in a normal way. So don't do stupid things, please. Good grief. Anyway, speaking of stupid things, Barcelona.
yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on
It's the perfect transition. Stupid in a different way, but still stupid.
Yes.
Presidente Bartomeu is no longer Presidente because he didn't want to be man enough to get voted out. He wanted to leave on his own accord. But he wanted to do a few things before he left on his own accord. What was one of those things? He drops it at the end of his media availability.
Buried the lead.
No, he knew what he was doing. It's not about burying the lead. He's not a reporter. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's like, yes, I'm quitting. Yes, I'm being mistreated. This is really mean to me. I've done so many good things for Barcelona, like spark arguments with our greatest ever player. I've been a wonderful servant to Barcelona. Oh, yeah, by the way, I signed on the dotted line for this European Super League, and it'll be good for the club. See you guys. I'm out. Bye.
Bye.
I mean... So the whole thing about the European Super League idea, unless Bartomeu is lying, which I don't really I can't figure out what he would gain from it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit further along than people led you to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
If there are people signing documents about it?
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's something. Yeah, the whole thing's been absurd, and now we see what Barcelona does next. They've got to undo a lot of bad leadership for 10 years. I mean, Bartomeu didn't really do a whole lot of good here. You've got to figure out now what you're going to do going forward. Your number one question is, are you going to elect a president who would do everything possible to keep Lionel Messi at the club? You're not going to be able to get a transfer fee for him now. That has to be understood in this conversation. I think some people are going to confuse this. It's not about getting a manager in who would sell Lionel Messi. He's out of contract at the end of the year. He can sign a pre-contract in January and pick his spot and go wherever he wants next summer. So the transfer fee part of it to fix your horrible finances, that's gone. Unless you can sell him in January and move him on, which you'll get probably not a huge fee, but you might be able to pull something if you want to do that, and you'll have to deal with the fallout of it. I think your chances of a transfer fee are gone. So your decision, if you're a member of Barcelona in this presidential election, is do you want to vote for somebody who will move heaven and earth to keep Lionel Messi in Barcelona, which is what some have said, or do you care and you're just going to pick the right person for the club that could be somebody who can't re-sign him, doesn't want to? I don't know. It's a tough decision.
I had heard that some reports overseas said that Manchester City would give 15 million euro to Barcelona.
That's not worth it.
As part of the shtick for signing Messi.
That's not worth it.
And that's the only number that I've heard about anything.
I mean, that's a rumor too, but that's not worth it. That's the thing. Like, it's not worth not having him the rest of the season. Because if they don't have him, I mean, that team is... Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe by January it's a different conversation. Who knows? Maybe things come together. It's young. Maybe they start to build. I don't know. But, ooh. I think the paradigm's changed a little bit, and you probably do need somebody who will keep Lionel Messi. I think you needed to sell him, but you didn't.
No question.
You're not going to later. I think you're going to have to make the decision to do right by him and keep him. And you're going to have to try to find a salary figure that makes sense if that's possible. It might not be possible. It might not at this point. There might be too much messed up here. But I would imagine that one of the major things that every presidential candidate is going to be judged on in Barcelona is what is their relationship with Lionel Messi and what are their plans regarding Lionel Messi. That's
right.
Sadly going to be the number one thing on the agenda. Mm-hmm. There's bigger things, but that's going to be the number one thing in the media.
Yeah. When Bartomeu dropped that yesterday, I saw a boatload of tweets that just started to turn in all caps. It's like they're tracking the meeting. Bartomeu is saying this, and this, and then the Super League comment comes up, and then everybody just turned all caps immediately in their analysis.
Mm-hmm. Percy Herrera is not in all caps, but he is very excited that Gabriel Heinze is no longer going to Palmeiras. That's an odd one to get very excited about, Percy. I guess the Kool-Aid is being drunk in places, which is fine. I think Gabriel Heinze could be a very good candidate. We'll see. I don't know because I don't know who they're talking about Atlanta United. I don't know who the candidates are because nobody's had any lists of candidates out there. Yeah. Don't know who's being talked to. Don't know if he's being talked to. Don't know if there's others being talked to. But yeah, he didn't take Palmeiras. I think that's a good move for him because the Brazilian league and Palmeiras as one of these teams that a little bit unstable. You're not going to get time to build anything there, and he seems like a manager who wants to build something. He wants to build a way of playing. Those are the things that I've read that he's kind of desired here. Vélez, he had a little bit of time, not a ton. The Argentine league, you don't get a ton of time either. if he was to be interested in a move to Major League Soccer, and there's really nothing to go on with that yet, he would get more time. As Javier Aguirre said, MLS, you get more time. Look at Matias Almeida out in San Jose. In other leagues, when you lose the games the way he did in a short period of time, you're gone. Doesn't matter, you're gone. Yeah. And he hasn't won anything in San Jose either, so he would definitely be gone. Well, he's not. MLS is a little different. Ben Olsen lasted a long time. That's appealing to some managers. I don't know if it is to Gabriel Heinze, because he is I think a young, ambitious manager. Maybe he wants to go to a bigger league. I don't know. But he turned down Palmeiras. They did not get to the point where they talked about financial terms, according to Cesar Luis Merlo. So let's see what happens next. But, he's somebody you want to keep an eye on for sure.
Tafka is spinning the same rumor mill this morning about Heinze. Has a hard time believing that the job gets turned down unless there's a better destination already booked.
Tafka, I would disagree with that because of just the nature of the Brazilian league. It's a tough place to work because there's not a whole lot of guarantees of any length of time to get things done. So throw that into the mix. It's possible, but again, we're spinning rumors and trying to make 2 + 2 = 75, which it might. There might be some X's and Y's and Z's in there, but I don't know what they are just yet.
Turner Kirby has a question about college soccer.
Sure.
Who heads officiating at the college level? The officials in the Clemson, North Carolina game are making pro look competent.
Well, look, there's going to be bad referees at every level you operate in. You know that. In any sport, anything you do, there's going to be a bad referee. There's going to be a good referee who has a bad day. We all know these things. I haven't followed the ACC close enough to tell you if their referees have been really good all year and this was an anomaly, if this is the consistency. I don't know. College refereeing is kind of weird. There's not like a pro organization for college. There is NYSOA, who handles a lot of the licensing and affiliations, but I believe the conferences handle their own refereeing. Now, I know in the past, coaches and athletic directors had a say in it, and I don't know if that's still the case. I never really liked that scenario because if you have a referee you don't like because he's hard on your team, you can say, I don't want to have that person work my team's home games, and that's not really a good fit ever for the coaches and athletic directors to have a say over who referees the game. So I don't know if that's still the case. I don't know if it has changed, but I believe it is at the conference level, conference by conference. But I'd have to see more of the ACC to be able to tell you if they've been good or bad all season.
Nathan Pugh is in this morning, and he's asking if you know of anyone available to head to England today to play center back for a few months, asking for a friend.
Yeah, should have. I think Jamie Carragher might have been right. I'm just saying, maybe should have replaced a couple people. Maybe needed a little more depth. Maybe you have to get Jamie Carragher out of retirement. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
It's been awful luck for Liverpool. And that has to be part of the conversation with them. Just like we've talked about with Atlanta United, injuries, and especially Joseph Martinez, have affected the way the season has gone. The way Liverpool's season goes, the injuries are a major part of the conversation. This has been awful luck. I do think they should have added at least one more center back as a reinforcement. They went one down from what they had last year. They should have replaced that, but they didn't. So they're going to have to suffer through until January and then probably try to find at least somebody on probably a short-term basis. But they're going to have to find a way through. I don't know what their academy looks like. I don't know what their reserve team looks like. They're going to have to find something and figure something out, and it's not going to be easy on the fly with all these games in a short period of time.
Yesterday, for those who didn't see it, Fabinho came off in the first half of the Liverpool mid-Telen match. Hamstring injury, quoting Klopp, it's the last thing we needed. So now they're without Van Dijk, Fabinho, and Matip at center back. Joe Gomez is your last center back that's available. Teenager Reece Williams came off the bench, likely to play against West Ham this Saturday. So that is where Liverpool is right now.
Yeah, it's going to have to be Reece Williams. And then, who's going to be cover for those two? I have no idea.
Then Nathan also says, just win Atlanta 2-1 to the Stripes, # Unite and Conquer.
I hope so. We'll get into all that in hour number 2. Lots of Atlanta-Orlando talk. We got lots of MLS talk here as well coming up. Let's run through the Champions League quickly. Anything yesterday surprise you or stand out?
Standout was the Borussia Mönchengladbach lead. Then they didn't have a lead at the end of the game. And
why does that stand out? What stands out about it?
Just the lateness of the 2 goals that were given up.
It's Real Madrid. That's what they do, though. That's what Real Madrid does. They show up big in these moments. I mean, I think it hurts Mönchengladbach a lot because you have something ripped away from you. But I mean, that's what Real Madrid does, and they did it here on a night where they really weren't very good for the first 60, 70 minutes.
Yeah. Atalanta down 2-0, come back to get a 2-2 draw with their match against Ajax.
That one's more surprising to me because I think Atalanta's on fumes right now. But
yeah,
they found something. They found a way back. That was really impressive.
And then Shakhtar getting a goalless draw at home against Inter. Those were my big ones.
I think we called that one, didn't we? No, I called a Shakhtar win, if I remember right.
Yeah, but I mean,
I called a Locomotive draw, which was close. Bayern ended up finding a late winner. Other ones, Man City won 3-0 in France over Marseille. Atletico Madrid-Salzburg was probably the game of the day. Atleti comes back and wins that 3-2. Porto beat Olympiacos 2-0. And we mentioned the others. So today, the early games, you've got 2 big favorites on the road.
Let me hear it. All right, let me hear it. Let me hear that team name.
Which one?
The one that's playing PSG. Let me hear it.
Oh, Istanbul Başakşehir.
There you go.
Başakşehir. Yeah,
Başakşehir. PSG's a minus 417. Başakşehir is north of 1100 on the plus side, and your draw is a plus 575.
I don't care how you pronounce it. I'm not putting any Halloween candy on Istanbul Başakşehir.
Nope. Yep. Then Chelsea is a minus 280, basically going up against Krasnodar, who's a plus 786, and your draw is a plus 419.
No. I can't be motivated for that one. 1 second. We're going to confirm something and see what's being said about this, because this could be interesting. I think people might be freaking out about it, and I don't know if they should be. Well, the way it's being... it's possible. Okay, so, yeah, we'll go ahead and hit something over here, because it is not news. Cesar Luis Merlo, if you are following him on Instagram, he'll have it on Twitter here shortly. It's CL Merlo 5. Siren, news on the possible arrival of Matias Almeida as the new coach of Palmeiras. That doesn't mean he is. That doesn't mean that he is going. That means maybe they've identified him as a candidate.
Yeah,
I would think so. It's not confirmed. It's nothing like that. He has an update. I will wait and see what his further update is on it. But Almeida's been mentioned for different jobs. I want to say he was mentioned for this one before. No, it was Schelotto who was mentioned for Palmeiras. And maybe that stock has fallen with what's happened at the Galaxy. Almeida's been mentioned for different things. He was mentioned for Mexican jobs between the last 2 seasons. So he'll continue to get mentioned. Even with, San Jose being... I don't know if his coaching job this year has been all that great, to be honest. It's been a tough year for him, and I think it's harder on teams who play in the way that he wants to, but I don't know how I'd rate his performance this year. So we'll see. Palmeiras could be in play for Matias Almeida. Got 6 games at 4 o'clock in Champions League. Give me numbers. Save the Manchester United and RB Leipzig and Juventus and Barcelona games for the end.
Roger that. Bruges plus 104 at home against Lazio, who's a plus 264. Your draw is a plus 260.
That one's shifted a lot because Lazio, I think, has 12 senior players available here.
Yeah.
They've called up 6 from their academy squad due to positives in their team. So, yeah, they're going to have some problems at Bruges.
Dortmund a minus 345 hosting Zenit, who's a plus 950, and your draw is a plus 500.
Yeah, feels about right.
Ferencvaros at home, a plus 241 hosting Dinamo Kiev. Dinamo Kiev a plus 125. Your draw is a plus 235.
You'd have to tell me. I don't know either one of those teams well enough to make an educated guess. Stay away
Don't
from
touch it.
Okay,
Stay away.
fair enough.
Sevilla and Rennes. Sevilla at home a -185. Rennes a +580 on the road. Your draw's a +315.
I'd go Sevilla, so I'm not touching it. I saw somebody bet, man, I can't remember who the favorite was. It was some absurd number. They bet like $6,000 to win $6.50. It's like, why would you even do that? Manchester United and RB Leipzig.
Let's see. Manchester United at home a +121. RB Leipzig a +231. Your draw's a +255.
If it was on the road, I'd feel more confident about Manchester United. They've won 10 straight on the road, which is crazy. We go draw.
Draw.
I'm thinking draw.
Yeah.
And the big one, Juventus against the president-less Barcelona. No Cristiano Ronaldo. He tested positive again in his follow-up yesterday, which, according to UEFA rules, he would not have been able to play anyway, but I would imagine those rules would have been broken, probably like they were for Matt Turner and Nick Saban and anybody else who's been in this situation. Cristiano Ronaldo, no. Lionel Messi, yes. What are the numbers?
Juventus +193. Barcelona +147, and your draw's a +247.
Juventus wins. I said it before. I think I have a 6-pack of Reese's writing on this with Nick Alifi. So I'm sticking with Juve even without Cristiano. I think they get it done. I think Barca will be just a mess because of everything going on behind the scenes. Kelsey, I did not ask why people are superstitious when they bet. I said, why would you bet $6,000 to win $6.50?
Yeah.
I don't
counterproductive.
Well, I mean, I guess if you have $6,000 and to you it's like $1, and you're coming out on the positive end, I mean, sure, I'm not risking that on anything.
No.
Nothing. Colonel's very excited. Swansea moves to second with a comprehensive, in all caps, win over Bristol City, who had not lost in 8 matches. That's a good win for Swansea.
That is a good win, and we will catch up with the gaffer, Steve Cooper, and play your highlights on Normandy Road that will come out later this week on the network. Yeah,
the latest Spirit of the Hawk came out yesterday on Defensa y Justicia, recapped the Libertadores collapse, previewed Sudamericana, looked ahead to the Copa Liga Profesional de Football in Argentina starting this weekend. Things are getting crazy in the Argentine world of the game, and we'll talk about it from a Defensa y Justicia perspective on Spirit of the Hawk. And thanks to anybody who listens to this show now from Argentina who found Spirit of the Hawk, because I don't know how you guys found it outside of Twitter hashtags and have shouted it out and shared it, and that's very, very cool.
Yep. Nathan Pugh says, one weird blessing with UCL with Atalanta running on fumes. Liverpool plays them back-to-back. If the Reds can get 4 or 6 points, then they advance and can use the other 2 as dead rubbers and rest. Maybe? Praying?
Yeah, no, that would be very helpful. Ragamuffin also called you a Euro snob for saying gaffer, which is accurate.
Cuppers has an interesting thought this morning.
It was Michael Head has what it was. It was some degenerate bettor bet like 8,600 on Clemson winning to win $8.60. I knew I'd seen something along those lines, and of course it's on Clemson. $8.
Well, I would have said Alabama. One of those 2 up top in college football.
Yeah, I mean Clemson's been killing people, and who'd they play over the weekend? It was somebody bad.
Clemson.
If they
Syracuse.
were that big of a favorite, yeah. So there you go. Still,
and I don't think they made the number, or if they did, it was barely.
No, they won $8. The person won $8.60. Oh, straight money line.
Yeah,
straight money line. Okay.
Cupper says we need an SDH shirt with my face on the front, and I'm the guy with a list of my sayings on the back.
Yes, I like that idea. Somebody draw it up.
Yeah, so draw it up with all my sayings.
Yes, I appreciate that idea. That is good.
Chris Ashley is in starting the day informing us that it is #Optimism Wednesday of Championship Week. He's making this his official #Lachlan Appreciation Day. #Up the Triumph.
Okay. Well, what else? Tell us why we're appreciating.
Lachlan McLean. So,
yes, tell us why we're appreciating.
Because Lachlan is Chris's favorite player for the Triumph.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything else attached to it, but... yeah, Chris would have to be the one to give us the details, and maybe he'll give us the details on the show tomorrow.
Okay, fair enough. Strummer John says Syracuse played Clemson better than Georgia Tech did. I mean, but that's not saying much, is it? Really?
And Dino Babers is probably still out by the end of the year.
I will try not to be too mean to Georgia Tech. I'm sorry. I apologize. The NWSL expansion draft rules and regulations are out for Racing Louisville. They can select up to 19 players from the 9 different NWSL teams. The full draft will live stream on the NWSL's Twitch channel. Trade waiver window has closed. The lists will be the protected, unprotected player list distributed to all teams on November 5th. There's some different rules and regulations about who you can protect and who you can't. Up to 2 players from each team or 1 U.S. allocated player from each team if they're left unprotected. Total of 2 U.S. allocated players in total. You can choose less than 2 U.S. allocated players and then get blah, 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 and my head spins and my eyes cross, and yes.
Right. Then the draft happens a week later.
Yes, the draft. That'll be the key thing. So we'll get deeper into that once those lists come out. That'll probably be the better approach here. MLS. We had 2 matches last night. Nashville, 1-0 winners over Montreal. People have woken up nationally to Nashville actually being good. Although they're still, I think, getting some of it wrong and saying that they don't go forward. This is a team that's scored some goals here lately. They do go forward. Earlier this season, they were far more defensive, but they were never Cincinnati defensive.
Yes.
They were defend and counter, and they were pretty dangerous on the counter. So Nashville gets the win, and people have realized that Nashville is a pretty good squad. Seattle wins in the late-night match 2-0 over Vancouver. No shock there. So we come into today when we look at the table in the Eastern Conference. Nashville has moved into 7th place, 4 points out of 4th place. It's pretty impressive. Union and Toronto are on top of the table. Philadelphia has the goal differential advantage quite heavily over Toronto. So they are in first. 6 points back, Columbus on 35. Orlando is 4th on 32. New York City is 5th on 30. The Revs are 6th on 29. Nashville, 7th on 28. Red Bulls on 26 in 8th place. This is where it gets interesting. So Montreal lost. They have 2 games left. 23 points. Inter Miami, 3 games left on 21 points. They're number 10. They're in the final spot. Chicago, 21 points. Game in hand on Miami. Better goal differential, fewer wins. That's why they are below the playoff line. Atlanta United, 2 points out of the playoffs right now in 12th. 5 wins, a good goal differential. Chicago's is 1 better. DC, 1 point behind Atlanta in 13th. Bad goal differential. They're on 4 wins. Cincinnati, 3 points behind Atlanta. Even worse goal differential. They're also on 4 wins. So separated by, and we'll leave Cincinnati out of this part, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 separated by 5 points, with Chicago having 4 games to play, most having 3, and Montreal only having 2 left. Out west, Seattle moves into the top spot right now by 2 points over Sporting. Portland is 1 point behind Sporting in 3rd. LAFC is 4 points behind Portland in 4th. These teams all have 4 games left. Minnesota and Dallas have 5 games left. Minnesota is 1 point out of 4th. Dallas is 3 points out of 4th. That's 5th and 6th. Vancouver's only got 2 games left. They've got 24 points. Things are not looking great for the Whitecaps, as San Jose has a game in hand on them, same number of points. Real Salt Lake has 2 games in hand on Vancouver. They are 2 points out of the playoffs. Houston, 3 points out of the playoffs. They've got a game in hand on Vancouver. Colorado, I don't know what they are, to be perfectly honest. They are on 19 points. They are 5 real points out of the playoffs. They have 7 games in hand on Vancouver, but they're not going to be able to play 7 games in hand. So your guess is as good as mine. And the LA Galaxy are in last on 18 points. 6 points out of the playoffs. They have 3 games in hand on Vancouver, 2 games in hand on San Jose. So you go by points per game in the West, because that could be what it comes down to. Colorado moves into 7th. San Jose is 8th. Real Salt Lake is 9th. Vancouver falls to 10th. And then it's Houston and the LA Galaxy. I don't know, and I don't know what the lobbying is doing behind the scenes, and I would imagine it is not a pretty WhatsApp chain going on between these teams right now.
No.
At all.
No.
Tonight, we got a whole bunch of games starting at 7:30. We'll talk a lot about one of them, Orlando and Atlanta, in hour number 2. Doug Robertson, Mike Conti will be joining us here shortly. Let's start at Red Bull Arena as the Red Bulls host New England. And again, this is New England, who is in 6th place, 3 points out of 4th, against the Red Bulls, who are in 8th place. And I think secure. I don't think there's any risk of them not getting in unless Chicago goes on a run here. But they're trying to improve their standing. Right now, they would host a play-in game. Red Bulls are a slight home favorite.
In the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, Red Bulls are a plus 137, New England a plus 185, your draw's a plus 260.
Does anyone know what's going on here?
No, Bruce.
I don't know either. I'm really leaning hard to the Red Bulls, but let's look at the recent form. So New England draw in Nashville on Friday. They lost last Monday to Philly. Okay, losing to the top team. They beat Montreal. They beat NYC. So they've got 1 loss in their last 4, 2 losses in their last 5. They lost to Toronto. So they've lost to the 2 best teams. You go back to their previous loss, September 12th. That was to Philadelphia. So they've lost to the 2 best teams in their last 3 losses. They lost to NYC before that. So they've got, since the MLS's back tournament, 4 losses out of a lot of games. 3 of them are to the top 2 teams in the league. 1 is to NYC, who isn't a slouch. Good number of draws mixed in, too. So I think maybe we've been a little harsh on New England and their form. Red Bulls, draw against Chicago. Draw against Orlando. Draw against Toronto. They beat Atlanta. Then 2 losses before that.
I'm leaning draw.
I still think Red Bulls win. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go Red Bulls win here.
Okay.
I don't like it. I wouldn't put anything good on it.
No.
I would put like the root beer dum-dums on it.
Necco wafers for me.
I mean, the root beer flavored dum-dum lollipops are stupid and awful, and I'll put those on New England or on the Red Bulls because it makes me sad. 7:30, Cincinnati hosting Sporting Kansas City. You do not have a home favorite in this one.
No, Cincinnati's a plus 308, Sporting a minus 119 on the road, and your draw's a plus 283.
Cincinnati has lost 6 of their last 7, and the win is over Columbus, which is weird. Sporting has a win over Colorado, playing their first game in weeks. They drew at Chicago. They lost at Dallas. They won 3 in a row prior to that, but before that, they had lost 3 out of 4. Kind of all over the place. They're good enough to beat Cincinnati, and I think they do.
Yeah, I'm good at Sporting there.
It's funny, every time I pick a candy that I can't stand, I know somebody's going to like it and be offended. Christopher Abel likes the root beer dum-dums. I just don't like I don't like root beer in general, so that's probably why. I don't like a beverage-flavored dum-dum lollipop.
But do you like bottle caps?
No, I don't.
Wow, okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying they're trash and they should be like shot to the moon. I'm just saying I don't like them. That's all.
Okay.
I'm not like that strong about it.
You have the root beer flavored bottle caps, which are pretty strong.
Yeah. I'm going to say no.
All right.
Philadelphia hosting Chicago, and Philadelphia is finally respected by the bookmakers.
Minus 110 as your favorite at home. Chicago's almost a plus 300 in the composite. And your draw's a plus 265.
Doop, 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 doop. Go for Philadelphia here. I think they get the win.
That's crackle bars for me on Philadelphia.
Okay. I'll go with the Milky Ways on Philadelphia.
Now, would you parlay Sporting in Philly?
No, because I don't trust Sporting enough. They've
Okay.
been too weird. They should win, but no, I'm not parlaying anything with Sporting Kansas City. I'll just put some. I gotta put something on them, I guess. I'll throw the those little. No, they're better than that. I'll throw a good dum dum flavor on there. I'll throw some grape dum dums on it.
Okay.
Toronto is a home, kind of home, sort of home, but home underdog against New York City.
Yep. Hartford FC is a plus 177 in the aggregate. New York City is a plus 144, and your draw is basically a plus 250.
Jason Nix hates the root beer flavored bottle caps, by the way. New York City, why are they favored over Toronto? They beat Montreal. They lost at Columbus. They drew at Orlando. They lost to New England. They beat D.C. They won at Miami. And they beat Cincinnati. They lost to Toronto last time they played at home.
Yeah.
They drew with New England. Why are they favored here?
I don't know.
They haven't beaten... I mean, Montreal, I guess, is of consequence. And Miami is kind of consequence. But
those are teams below you.
Yeah, now, I'm not all that super high on Toronto either right now. I think they're beat up, and I think they're tired. I think they're still tired. They got spanked by Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Atlanta 1-0. They tied with Red Bulls 1-1. They beat Cincinnati 1-0. They beat New England 1-0. They beat Philadelphia back on October 3rd 2-1. I'm going to go draw.
Yeah.
I'm still confused why NYC is a favorite here.
Yeah, I'll take the generic wax-wrapped butterscotch candy that comes in the multiple colored wrapping paper. You have like the not orange, the white and the black, and it's that really nasty butterscotch candy. I'll put that on the draw.
Yeah, those things are hideous. I'll see that, and I'll go with the same thing on the draw. Ricky Ricardo says, speaking of Toronto, since they have some players from this club, rest in peace to Chivas USA. 6 years since they were contracted. Marky Delgado, a Chivas USA product. Brad Gazan, a Chivas USA product. All right, 8 o'clock, D.C. hosting Columbus. Columbus is the road favorite.
Plus 112. D.C. United's a plus 240 at home, and your draw's a plus 250, basically.
Columbus is not in great form. Draw at Houston. Win over NYC. Loss at Cincinnati. Loss to Montreal. Draw at Dallas. Loss at Toronto and Hartford. One win in their last 6.
Mm-hmm.
DC's got back-to-back wins. And a draw against Philadelphia before that. Before that, they had 5 losses in a row.
Check.
Plus 240.
Nope.
Man.
Nope.
Man.
Don't trust either one of them.
Hold on. I got to check what I'm going to put on this. Because this is important.
Okay.
Because I'm feeling crazy.
Wow. Okay.
I am taking the turkey dinner flavored candy corn.
Oh, no.
Yes, the turkey dinner flavored candy corn. Brock's made it somewhere. There's a picture of it, so I'm believing it.
Oh, my God.
You got green beans, you got turkey, you got cranberry, you got carrots, you got sweet potato pie, you got stuffing, all boiled down into a candy corn.
No.
And that's going on DC to win.
Oh, my God, that's awful.
That just got all kinds of crazy things
that's
in the
awful.
The Twitch pitch just exploded.
You broke the Twitch pitch.
I just typed up flavored candy corn, and that's what came up. Like, that's the number one that came up.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
That's hideous.
That sounds awful.
That's hideous.
That's on DC to win.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. It happened.
God, Brox, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I have no idea, but they did it.
Dios mío.
They did it. Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, they did it. That's horrifying.
Grew up in my mouth.
That is horrifying. And now Sean Vergara says, I need a COVID test because I picked it. I just typed in flavored candy corn on Google. And I needed something really bad to put on DC to win because I don't feel good about it. Yeah, it qualifies. Man, blame Brox, not me.
Yeah, right.
Minnesota hosting Colorado. Minnesota is a home favorite here by a fairly significant margin.
Yeah, plus 106. Colorado is a plus 230, and your draw is basically a plus 280.
Yeah, I can't pick anything on Colorado until we see more of them. They did not look good at Sporting Kansas City. I'm going against Colorado until further notice. Minnesota to win. I'll pair that one up with Philadelphia on a parlay.
Okay.
Maybe the biggest toss-up of the day, Dallas hosting Miami. At least it's almost even on BetMGM.
Yeah, and in the composite, FC Dallas is a plus 166, Inter Miami's a plus 156, and your draw is a plus 250. Looking at the individual betting establishments, you have FC Dallas anywhere from plus 155 to plus 177, and Miami anywhere from plus 150 to plus 165. So, yeah, they don't know.
I'm going to go with the little like caramel candies on a draw here.
Yeah, I would go. God, I would go with an. Since I'm not an Almond Joy Mounds guy, I would probably go with one of those on the draw.
Colonel says he's ordering the turkey dinner candy corn on Amazon right now. Thanksgiving dinner taken care of in a bag.
You're a brave soul, Colonel.
That's madness. Portland hosting the LA Galaxy, and the Timbers are a large favorite.
Minus 128 in the composite. The Galaxy plus 310. Your draw is basically the same thing.
Yeah, Timbers win. Is this the last game for Schelotto in Los Angeles?
Yes.
You think so? I don't know if they really care at this point.
I mean, at this point, you sit there, it's like you're this late into the year, just go ahead and finish the year out and then make your decision like the day after on Black Monday, the day after the regular season. You sit there and then you announce GBS. And considering all of the folks we saw in the stands for the 97,000th renewal of El Tráfico, he's obviously being looked at. But for me, just let it ride to the end of the year.
Huh? All the people in the stands, what?
All the folks from the front office for the Galaxy up in the private box.
Well, yeah.
You had like 7 dudes with their arms folded looking down on the pitch every cutaway that you would see in the match last time.
Ragamuffin wants to go back to juice boxes. We just got a couple more days of this before Halloween. And then it'll be Thanksgiving side dishes for November. So that could get out of hand as well. LAFC hosting Houston. LAFC is a gigantic favorite.
Minus 217 at home. Houston's a plus 530 to win, and your draw is a plus 380.
So Houston has a draw in their last 2 games against Columbus and Minnesota. They lost against Nashville. They lost against Miami. They beat Dallas, and then a whole bunch of non-wins. LAFC beat the Galaxy, drew with Portland, lost to Vancouver, beat Seattle, and beat RSL. That Seattle win is the best one on the board. Let's scroll down for a second. Let's see. I can't pick Houston to win. That's crazy talk. But I could. Yeah, I could take the bag of Starburst flavored candy corn. Starburst fruit flavored candy corn.
See, anything candy corn, I can't.
Peanut butter cup candy corn sounds like an abomination, and I want to fight people right now. I'll go with the Starburst fruit-flavored candy corn bag on a draw. How about that?
Okay, because I would have just said, I would have held the Starburst for something else, but not the Starburst-flavored candy corn. Anything candy corn, I'm like, nope, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know how Starburst-flavored candy corn would work.
Ask
it looks like
Brox.
There's like
they did
things.
The same thing for Thanksgiving food.
It looks like there's like things in the candy corn.
Yeah.
It's weird. Man, Brox has done all kinds of crazy candy corn things. I'm really baffled by all of this. Okay. Last one, San Jose hosting Real Salt Lake, and San Jose is a favorite.
plus 127. RSL on the road is a plus 197, and your draw is a plus 263.
I will take... I'll put a Mr. Goodbar in San Jose to win.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll go... Yeah, I'm not that confident on San Jose right now. So I will go the other one. That if it was a Mounds on one game previously, I'll go the Almond Joy on the draw for this one.
See, I'm just not confident in RSL. 1 win in 5. They drew with Dallas, but they beat Portland. They lost to Vancouver. They lost to Seattle. They lost to LAFC. They drew with Minnesota before that. I'm not confident in either one, but I think San Jose at home, yeah, I'll throw Mr. Goodbar on it. That's
Chris
all.
Hutchison says there's no good candy corn. None.
I agree. I totally agree. I'm not vouching for candy corn here at all.
Right there with you, Chris Hutchison.
Anything else on Twitter?
Not at the moment after that Chris Hutchison absolute salvo of truth that he just put out there.
Okay, so thank you, Percy, for checking on the other Twitters, because we have an update on a developing story. Matias Almeida is the main candidate to be the coach of Palmeiras. Then what was going on with Aite then? If there's already negotiations and a formal offer awaited, if the project, so there's, okay, I don't know what that was. There's negotiations.
It's the lawn folks before the other.
Oh, good times. So negotiations, an offer to Almeida is awaited. If he is interested in it, then they'll have to pay whatever they have to pay as an exit to get out of San Jose. So that's the update from Cesar Luis Merlo of TIC and of Super Deportivo in Mexico. Very, very good journalist. He is usually dead on with this stuff. So San Jose fans can't be too happy at the moment. I don't know. Maybe there's been a movement to move on. I've had questions about Almeida this season, not going to lie. I don't think they've progressed. We can talk about the talent, which isn't great, but I don't know if the talent that he's had for 2 years has progressed. And if Palmeiras comes in with the right kind of offer, I don't know, and I don't know where he's at. I know he had previously said he wanted to see this project out. He wanted to accomplish everything he set out to do. Is he going to be able to do that? I don't know if he is in San Jose, to be perfectly honest. And if he gets the opportunity to go to Palmeiras, that would be interesting. He's not going to go unless Palmeiras is going to let him do what he wants to do in terms of playing style and some recruitment and all that. Go ahead, John.
Oh, no, I was just, when you were done with Almeida, reading material for folks. If you subscribe to The Athletic today, Jeff Reuter has a piece out today. The USL is announcing Fort Wayne FC as a League One expansion club, launching in 2023 after 2 years in League Two, and he has an exclusive Q&A with co-owner DeMarcus Beasley about the project.
Interesting. I'll have to check that one out. Okay, Sean Vergara said, what is your 2021 starting 11 minus additions, but who you think leaves? Right now, I guess the best thing to do is just to say what the starting 11 is from what we know at the moment, because we can't guess on who's coming to fill spots. I think your back line, and the biggest question I have is Franco Escobar. Where is he? Is he a center back? Is he a right back? I think he's a center back. I think that's the way to go with him. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see that as a primary option in 2021. That might be, small case of examples here, but I've liked what I've seen from him at center back. I'd like to see more. Him and Robinson as your center backs, Bello on the left, Lennon on the right. I think you need a number 6. If you don't get one right now, I think it's Mo Adams. 2 other central midfielders, it's Moreno, and it will probably be a competition between Josetu and Heinemann. I'd lean to Heinemann at the moment, although Josetu I thought played really, really well on the weekend. But I would give that edge to Heinemann. Then on the wings, it is right now Barco on the left, It is Dom on the right. It's Joseph up top. You have Eric Lopez, who will be competing for time, I think, on the wing. He's not going to displace Joseph. He could play up top in times when Joseph doesn't, but I think he'll be competing for time on the wings. Who I think leaves, I don't know contract situations, but I think your spots where you have to look at it, that central midfield glut, because I do think you're going to be looking for a 6. You've got Remedi, Adams, Lorenowitz, who could retire. You've got Josetu, Heinemann, and Moreno. You're only going to play 3 of that 6. Now, Lorenowitz, again, might retire. You might have people out of contract. I would venture a guess that Remedi could be coming up on an option year. I don't know if all of them come back. And even if Lorenowitz retires, I don't know if everybody else comes back. That's one to look at. I think your backups up top, there's a question, does Kubo Torres and Adam John come back? I don't think both do. I do think John Gallagher is back, and I think he is an option up top and on the wing as well, like Eric Lopez. So you have 2 attacking substitution options. You have Jake Mulroney as well, who I think could be back next year. I think Mulroney's done a good job. Like to see more from him. What else do you need? The Meza situation, if the rumors out of Mexico are correct, that might solve that problem, and then Anton Walks is your primary defensive reserve. I think you probably need a outside back who can play on both sides, because I don't know if Edgar Castillo is back, and you're going to need somebody to cover for Lennon if you're going to play Escobar as a center back primarily, so you'd like to have a versatile outside back. Mulroney can play on the left in a pinch. I think he could probably play on the right in a pinch. I'd like a dedicated outside back reserve, like Taylor Washington for Nashville. Somebody who can play on either side and be competent on either side and spell Bello and Lennon when they need it. Or in Lennon's case, if he needs to play up top on the wing and you don't want to move Escobar from center back. That's it right now. I mean, that's where my head's at right now. I think we'll see other changes. I mean, Barco, we know the transfer situation that could be coming with him. Then you'd replace him with a left winger, I would assume. You could replace him with a number 10. Then that would get a little more flexible in terms of that center back or that central mid option in terms of everybody coming back. I don't know if they would at all then. So you've got some decisions to make, but every team has decisions to make at the end of the year. And those decisions get even harder when you have the year that Atlanta's had. So every team will have some of these decisions to make. LAFC, for example, they got to figure out what's up with Diego Rossi. Is the right offer going to come in for him this time, or is Brian Rodriguez actually going to get sold first? Which it sounds like there's been more offers on Rodriguez. There always seems to be something with Vela at the end of every season too. Does an opportunity come up with him? We'll see if Murillo is the right guy for them in the back as well. That's a loan right now. There's a lot of teams that will have a lot of decisions to make, and it sounds like there's going to be a lot of decisions to make at the league office and what 2021 looks like. Is it going to start in March? Is it going to start in April? Is it going to start in May? Is some talk out there. What does that mean? Is there going to be some kind of a short tournament, an MLS's back tournament beforehand to keep teams active? Because I don't think you want to go with teams getting knocked out of the playoffs at the beginning of November and then nothing until May.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. And I know you want to have as many games with people in the stands as possible, but there also is that other side of it. Like, how do you make a season work? So, who knows? But it's going to get weird across the board. Atlanta's not the only team in a situation, but yeah, they're going to have some tough decisions for sure.
Caleb Cook says he agrees with your assessment. He wants a real right back for next year. Lennon then becomes a nice depth piece.
No, I disagree with that totally, Caleb. I think Brooks Lennon is a very good right back. Brooks Lennon has had the most good open crosses, according to Opta, this season in the league. He has put in the most accurate crosses this season in the league, according to the numbers. He's a good defender, not a great defender. You got to remember, I think, the way Atlanta wants to play, they want to dominate possession. You see teams that dominate possession with more attacking midfielders and outside backs because you're expected to be playing the other team's half. He needs to continue to improve as a defender, I agree. But I don't think you want him to become a depth piece. I have to disagree with that one. I want him to get better as a defender and that needs to be a focus in the offseason. You need to thank somebody before we move on.
I do. Apolinsky & Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here and the SDH network, wrongful death and serious injury attorneys. If this is a conversation that you need to have, the one location that you need to have it is at Apolinsky & Associates, LLC. How can you have that conversation with Apolinsky & Associates, LLC, he asks. Well, I will tell you. A couple different ways. You can shoot Steve an email directly, steve@aa-legal.com. You can get a free consultation by giving them a call at 404-377-9191 or go to their website, aa-legal.com. Large device or small, it's the arrow key, the return key, advance, whatever, the arrow. When that home screen pops up, pop-up window pops up too, because what pop-up windows do, they pop up. Don't know if it's Steve that's at the other end of that line and is actually typing your questions in response and giving you answers. Could be Steve, could be somebody else. We don't know. We'll have to ask Steve about that. But you can get answers 24/7, 365 and a quarter. Thank you, Chris Hutchison. For any questions that you have involving wrongful death or serious injury matters, over 30 years of experience, over $40 million in judgments for clients in Georgia and Alabama, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend Magazine for being one of the top 100 firms in this here state of Georgia for their clients in this state and the one directly to the west. For wrongful death and serious injury matters, the website for Apolinsky & Associates, LLC is aa-legal.com.
That was award-winning, sir.
I was hanging out with the baseline. I was trying to figure that one out, too. News from Meg Linehan. Bev Priestman has now been named the head coach of Canada's women's soccer team, national soccer team.
Can you tell us anything about her?
Nope. Just reading the bolo.
Next time, give us a little more information, por favor. All right, Mike Conti joining us if virtual producer Rick can get it done. Rick, make the call, Rick. You can handle it, Rick. Maybe you can't handle it. I don't know. I thought you could. I had high hopes for virtual producer Rick. Virtual producer
so now he's
Rick
just,
might
now
be
he's just
failing.
Ranger Rick?
No, he's not being booted to being a Ranger just yet. But he's not doing good. Rick, you might get fired.
I mean, come on now. I'm sitting here typing and quiet, and then, Mike doesn't show. Rick, what are you doing, man?
All right, we will see if Mike joins us. He has not joined us as of yet, but he's got the invite now. So stay tuned. We are trying it. Not Ricky, just Rick. Just Rick. Not Ricky Ricardo. We know you would get the job done. I do think we need Mateo back. I agree with that. All right, let's start getting into Atlanta and Orlando, and hopefully Mike can join us in a bit. It's kind of hectic with a Falcons game tomorrow. It's a little hectic at the radio station right now. So, yeah, there you go. These midweek Falcons games are weird, and even weirder right now in this kind of season.
Yeah, and considering the result that happened last Sunday, having to turn around on a few days' notice to play.
Oh, sorry, not tomorrow. I'm all out of whack. Mike, fix us on this now, because I've broken everything.
It's weird. I think my phone's broken, too. I had a message pop up that I missed your call, so hopefully I didn't miss anything good.
No, you didn't miss anything good.
Play.
Tomorrow.
That's what I thought.
Right?
I thought they were. Am I crazy? I was being told that they weren't playing tomorrow. I thought they were playing tomorrow.
Who told you that?
The Twitch pitch gets out of line sometimes.
Yeah, they do play one Thursday night game a week in the NFL, and the Falcons, lucky for all of us, are in it this week. So they will play tomorrow night.
And yes, defining playing could be the way out of the conversation. I understand, but that's just me.
Very, very good one, Twitch pitch.
That's just mean. Man. All right, let's get into the game tonight that we know is tonight. We don't know when it's going to kick off.
I assume it is. I have not heard otherwise. So I can report that Atlanta United's charter is still at the airport. They have not departed yet. So I can tell you that.
Okay.
That doesn't mean anything other than
it's
foggy at the airport.
I was going to say, is it a weather challenge charter at the moment?
It could be. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously very foggy in Atlanta today. But I'm looking at the flight tracking data right now for their flight. It's still on the ground. Yeah. So, hopefully they'll get off the ground the next couple minutes. I know Doug had tweeted that, all the subsequent COVID tests have come back clean. So I guess we're in good shape for everything.
If that's the case, then yes, because they have not in MLS held games up for one positive that does not spread.
Yeah, correct. And I think it has been either forgotten or ignored that we have had instances. DC United ran into this a couple weeks ago. I mean, we've had incidents where there has been a single positive test, and the league has said play on.
Yeah.
And they have, and there hasn't been any spread beyond that. I mean, the DC situation that happened when they were at New York City. I think they had their positive test, or they learned their positive test before they departed, and then they were waiting for subsequent tests to come back. I think on their way to Yankee Stadium, and it may have held kickoff up by like a minute or two, but they were able to play. So I think that got either forgotten or maybe ignored. On Monday, when we found out about what happened with Atlanta United, that this has come up before this year in this league, and the protocol says if you have one and it doesn't spread, you play on.
Yeah.
And that's what appears to be, based on Doug's reporting this morning, that's what appears to be the situation with Atlanta United.
When it comes to Orlando, and we talked about it a little bit last night on the run-up, let me get my numbers out here real quick. The 12-match unbeaten string comes to a close for Orlando, but they really haven't been setting the offensive world on fire in the last handful of matches. The loss, and these were the quotes from Julia Poe at the Sentinel. Pesho Akindele called the game against Inter Miami a wake-up call, but Kyle Smith called it a warning sign. Where would you consider the Inter Miami game?
Yeah, neither, probably. Wake-up call would probably tell you that something's gone wrong. I don't necessarily agree with that. Warning sign, it doesn't change the fact because you lost on a late goal that was your first loss since August 26th. So, and you're right, like they play to a lot of draws. And I do find it funny, by the way. I find it really almost hilarious that people want to pick apart Atlanta United. Oh, well, they haven't won in their last 5. Well, they have a couple draws in there. And the same people will turn around and say, Orlando, yeah, they haven't lost in their last 5. Well, they have 3 draws in there. And this was, of course, prior to their 2-1 loss to Inter Miami. I just kind of feel like some people are telling on themselves a little bit with that kind of perspective. So, look, they're fine. Maybe there's a chance they're bored. I don't know. I mean, match compression's been really, really tough for everyone. They're fine. They've played to... I'm just looking at their recent form here. Prior to the loss to Miami, they had a draw at Red Bulls, and that was a late equalizer by Red Bulls, by the way. Really late equalizer by Red Bulls, Brian White. The draw they had here in Atlanta was a good match, I thought. I know a lot of people disagree with that. They trounced Red Bulls in Orlando, 3-1. The Dallas scoreless draw that they had a red card, and they kind of had to hold on. And then prior to that, they beat Kansas City on the road. They drilled Chicago at home, which looks like a pretty good result the way Chicago is playing. Prior to that, they beat Miami at home. Prior to that, they had the 1-1 draw against Atlanta where Adam John equalized at the very end. Prior to that, they had the 1-1 draw against Nashville. I'm getting ready for my Nashville-Philadelphia Eastern Conference final right now. I think that's going to – I'm not joking, guys.
I know.
That's going to happen. Prior to that, they trounced Atlanta at the Benz. Prior to that, they trounced Nashville at home. So, all right, Leandro scores in the 90th minute, and what looks like a draw turns out to be a loss. They're still playing really well, as far as I'm concerned. But I don't think they've been as good as Philadelphia.
Yeah, no, I'll push back on their playing really well. I don't think they're playing really well. I think their form has dipped. It's not bad. Like that's a exaggeration. But I think they've gotten a little stale, kind of. Like they're not losing games because of it, but they're not what they were before. They have dipped. I thought they could be contending for the top of the Eastern Conference. And they're not. And they're 9 points back now. I do think they're better than the next group of teams. New York City, New England, Nashville. I think Orlando has been better than them. Nashville, maybe not. But they've fallen off some. And that's going to be the interesting thing is, wake-up call is maybe a little harsh, but maybe a little bit of a reality check?
Yeah, and I think we'll find out more tonight, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta's been their bogey team. They've never beaten Atlanta in their home park. On paper, they should do it tonight.
They should.
Let's see if they do. I think we're going to learn a lot about them. I think we're going to learn a lot about their mettle and what they're all about. So we'll see. We'll just have to see.
Who worries you the most about Orlando?
Nani. But the thing is, I don't know if he's starting. Nani, I don't think has started against Atlanta United at all this year.
I know. It's been weird that's the case. Yeah. But, I don't think he has.
Oscar Pereira has really rotated a lot against Atlanta United this year. And I think you could possibly get into a discussion about why. There's a cynical thought in me that maybe – there's still a little bit of lack of self-belief in that group when it comes to Atlanta United. And by playing rotated lineups, this is a very cynical way of looking at it, but maybe they're trying to build in that, I hate to say excuse, but that's what it is.
Like a security blanket kind of deal?
Yeah, it's an excuse. We haven't gotten the results that we hoped for against Atlanta United again this year, but at least this year we were playing rotated.
Yeah.
And Nani has gotten in against Atlanta United. But I'm going to be really curious to see what their starting lineup is tonight. They're way, way healthier.
Yeah.
And way, way more first choice than they were. I guess October 7th was, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
These teams played 2.5 weeks.
You had guys out on international duty.
Way more first choice now. So I think it's going to be a very interesting selection. Obviously DK's been good. He scored on Saturday. But to me, it's Nani. Nani is their best player. And Atlanta United's going to be short at center back tonight. Could be very short at center back tonight. We know Miles isn't playing. And, honestly, when I hear on Monday Stephen Glass say they aren't sure about Franco Escobar on Monday, that tells me he's not playing. We don't know about Watts. He's not on the injury report, but that really means very little this year. So if you don't have Franco, if you don't have Watts, and you don't have Robinson, I think you're looking at a possibility of either Wyke or Lorenowitz at center back tonight, starting. I have a lot of faith and confidence in Lawrence Wyke because he's played well when he's gotten the opportunities. But you're talking about Nani potentially running at rookie center backs, and that scares me. Not to mention that, you do have DK who can be a real pest, especially on set pieces, and losing Miles on set pieces, defending set pieces really, really hurts. So that's where it starts for me. But I don't know what Oscar Pereira's mindset's going to be as far as the selection is concerned tonight, because he's approached these 3 prior matches with Atlanta United very, very oddly.
Well, but then, Mike, at the same time, didn't Fernando Meza play at the back in his time at Liga MX a little bit too?
Played at the back. He's been playing at the back this season. What are you talking about?
Be one of your center backs as a part of that discussion.
Yeah.
If you're going to have Mike is dropping Lorenowitz back, then Meza plays a possibility at the 6 or
No, John. No, Meza's one of your center backs.
Okay.
I don't know who the other one is. Again, Miles is out.
Yeah.
I think Escobar is out. I don't know,
Okay.
but I think. I don't know if Walks can play. So, yeah, Mays is one.
Okay.
But if you don't have Walks, if you don't have Franco, and you don't have Miles, who's the other?
Okay.
That's why I'm thinking it could be White.
It's White, it's Campbell, it's Lorenowitz. Those are your three options.
Yeah, and the thing about Campbell, guys,
You haven't
it
seen
doesn't
him.
really get noticed. Campbell has not been in the match day 20 for weeks.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against George Campbell at all. I just, seeing as how he hasn't even been in match day 20s, I don't see him in the equation tonight. I think
the one thing I'd push back on that is at center back, you're probably not going to make a lot of subs there. And
True.
if you make the decision, like, you know what, we're kind of banged up in the front or out wide, we know we might make some subs here, we're not going to put Campbell in the 20 because of that. It might not mean that he's fallen out of favor, which I don't think is the case. It just might be a case of the numbers game.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not trying to suggest that at all.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is White is clearly ahead of him.
As a utility, which is a little different, because we've seen White at right back, we've seen him as a 6, we've seen him as a center back. We haven't seen him as a center back much, honestly. So I don't know. It's weird.
The Cincinnati game.
Yeah, it's weird.
All the way back in March, to be totally honest. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. But that's what concerns me, guys. I mean, I think, you're expecting this to be a low-scoring game tonight based on both teams' recent form. Atlanta United, since scoring 4 goals against DC, has played 5 matches and has scored in only 2 of them, which is obviously unacceptable. Orlando, as we've talked about, I mean, they're not scoring much either. In their last 4, they've scored only 3. So you're expecting, based on both teams' forms, that it is going to be a low-scoring match tonight, that it might come down to something like you saw on Saturday, where it could be a set piece or some kind of restart situation that maybe unlocks the game a little bit, and then you have to chase it. So, with that in mind, if it is going to be low-scoring and you don't really have confidence in Atlanta United to go out there and put a couple in the net, which I don't, your back line's got to be really, really sound, and you've got to do whatever you can to not concede. And, Glass even talked about it on Monday. I think Glass even suggested, and I don't know if too many people caught this.
Nope.
I didn't really see it talked about much.
They didn't.
Glassy said, hey, we might decide to kind of sit back early and concede possession and maybe not play, or not play is not the correct term, but he made the suggestion that, hey, I mean, we might let Orlando have it for a while to start this match tonight, which is different. That's very, very counter to the way that we have seen Atlanta United, not only in the 3 matches against Orlando this year, but really in every match they've played this season. If Glassy is saying that openly, I mean, it could be a red herring, but I have to think he's probably thinking about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at Orlando, too, and the way that they've been playing lately, Oscar Pareja is somebody who isn't as concerned about possession as some other managers. You look back at his last 3 games. So against Miami, who we know is a team who has started to become more of a not high-press team, but they will concede possession to you. Orlando had 52%. Against the Red Bulls, now I think this was a very specific tactical plan from Oscar Pareja, make the Red Bulls play with the ball. 58% possession for the Red Bulls. Orlando only had 42. That's not typical for a Red Bulls match. That shows you that Pareja said, all right, we're going to make them play with it. So then you look at New York City, which is a team that normally wants possession. Orlando only had 44% of it. Let's go back to that scoreless draw with Atlanta and Orlando. Atlanta had 52%. I think what Stephen Glass is telling you when he says that is, look, Orlando has become a team that is playing off the ball. They don't want the ball as much. They haven't had the dominating possession numbers here lately. Let's make them do something that they don't necessarily want to do. And we also know that we probably need to secure the defense a little bit more at this point, too. The hardest part about this, now, Steven spoke to the media Monday afternoon. It was later Monday when the news came out about a positive test. You didn't train yesterday as a group.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you haven't had time to adjust anything since that positive. Now, you already knew that somebody had tested positive after the game. So maybe you had the Monday training session to think about this. But yeah, you might have to be more defensive here and look to play on the counter. And you have players in Dom with his speed, and Moreno with his speed, Hosetu, Heineman with their ability to pick out a pass, Barco in open space, and potentially John Gallagher up top, if you're going to play in this way, that can play pretty well on the counter if that's the way you got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I think we're going to find out pretty quickly, obviously, what that approach is going to be. We might be able to even take some hints off the lineup tonight.
Potentially.
I think it's fascinating. I also think, look, you're not in a position where, for Atlanta United, and this is something that Glassy talked about, maybe potentially having to rotate a little bit. You can't afford it right now. You need results in all three of your remaining matches, and you need a win in two of them. Do you think it's more likely you're going to get a win in Orlando tonight or in Columbus next Sunday? Neither are likely, in my opinion, but I think you have a better chance of getting it tonight. So you got to go all in for it tonight. That's where maybe, possibly, kind of, sort of, you got a little bit of a break in that you didn't train yesterday. I mean, I think what you have to evaluate is, do the negatives of not training outweigh the benefits of not training? So we'll see. I think it's going to be an interesting match. Obviously, Atlanta United has played extremely well down in Orlando. They're 5-0-1 down there all time. If you look at the table, Orlando is not really in it for the Shield anymore.
No.
They are, however, only 2 points clear of New York City for that first round bye. They do have a game in hand. So Orlando's not feeling a lot of pressure right now. I mean, they're not going to be any higher than third, and they're 3 points behind Columbus right now for third. So Orlando's in a comfy spot right now. It's not really a lot of room for them to move up or down. Atlanta United is in an emergency right now. And I think that's something that's really going to affect how this match feels tonight. If Orlando gets an early goal, and then Atlanta United's going to be in real trouble. If Atlanta, the longer this match goes scoreless, I think the better for Atlanta United, because they might be able to burn them on something late.
Well, and Mike, to your point about the standings, I was going to flip that with what we were talking about at the beginning of the segment with Orlando City's, with the wake-up call / warning sign with the loss. If Atlanta United gets that early goal, Atlanta United's on the front foot. New York City's only 2 points behind Orlando City. I'm wondering how the Orlando City is reacting coming into this match tonight because of the folks you have behind you in the standings who will be chasing you as well tonight.
But like I said, New York City and New England, who are both within striking distance, have played one more match than Orlando. I think I think they're fine. I really do. Granted, I mean, I guess they could be passed tonight if New York City wins at Toronto, or if Red Bulls lose to New England and then Orlando loses. But Orlando's still got the game in hand. I mean, this is the reason why I'm really worried about Chicago right now when it comes to Atlanta United. I think,
even with all those games on the road?
Yes, because they have a game in hand. I mean, they have one more chance to earn points than Atlanta United. So, to me, honestly, I think Atlanta United, you could catch Nashville if you win all three, but Nashville would have to lose out. Atlanta United right now, in my opinion, the bullseye is on Montreal, and them losing to Nashville last night really helps, and Miami. I think Chicago, you don't control that situation right now because Chicago's got an extra opportunity to earn points. That's why I say, again, I think Orlando is in a really comfy spot right now with that game in hand. I think Orlando's probably, if we're applying what I just said about Atlanta United to Orlando. Orlando's bullseye is probably on Columbus. I don't think they're worried about a team below them on the table right now that's played one more game than they have. Could be wrong, obviously. I mean, wrong all the time, but
we all have been in 2020.
Yes.
Yeah, but I would not be nervous if I were an Orlando supporter about a team below me on the table that's played one more game.
Yeah, I think Orlando's a better team than New York City anyway. I think 4 is pretty secure for them.
Yeah, they're going to be in the top. I think the top 4 in the East is locked.
I think so.
I really do. To me, what the positions in the East that are still in flux are maybe 9th and 10th, and I want to see how much higher Nashville can go. Can Nashville maybe get up to 5th? They're only 2 points out of 5th right now. I don't think they're catching Orlando for 4th, but I could see Nashville getting out of that play-in round and getting to 5th or 6th. But I think your top 4 in the East are locked, and I think locked in place. I know Philly and Toronto are tied right now on 41. Philly is unassailably playing better than Toronto. They proved that the other night. I would be completely shocked if we're talking 2 weeks from today and the top 4 in the East are not in this order: Philly, Toronto, Columbus, Orlando. I think it's pretty solid.
Okay, final question, and it's a good one from Christopher Abel. Let's say this game comes down to a late penalty for Atlanta.
Oh.
Who's taking it?
Who takes it? Whoa. Oh, boy.
There's not an easy answer to this.
Well, my initial thought would be Barco.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
if he is feeling it,
by Robles.
I think if he is feeling it, if he is confident, he takes it. I do think that's the case. You go back to him.
Yeah.
If there's any wavering, then no, he doesn't take it. And who does?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I've never seen Moreno take a penalty. I don't know what his penalty history is. I'd probably have to look that up.
I don't.
It just depends on who's in. Is Jeff Lorenowitz even in to take a penalty late in this game tonight? Because Lorenowitz would honestly be very high on my list.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Do you put Jurgen Damm on the spot?
I don't know if he's taking penalties.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know what Brooks Lennon's penalty history has been.
Because you would think that if Mo starts, Jeff might be in if Mo doesn't play the full 90. Jeff
I think Mo's going to. Yeah, well, that's a great point, John. You're right, because Mo played 90 on Saturday. That's a really good point. I don't foresee a scenario where Mo is not starting tonight. I'd be shocked if he didn't start. So, great question. I mean, how late in the match? And has Jeff been subbed on?
So you would go to, if Jeff is available, he's your first choice.
Even more than Barco.
I don't think you go away from Barco. I'm not disagreeing with you, because I would probably want to go away from that too. But I don't think you do. If he is feeling confident, I think he gets to take that. Now, I just looked it up. Moreno has not taken one that transfer marked has, and they would have anything from the Argentine First Division. Jurgen Damm has not taken a penalty in regulation play in Mexico either. The other name that came to mind for me was potentially Fernando Meza, because of his experience, because of his calmness.
And he'll be in.
He would likely be in. He has not taken a penalty that has been recorded either that I can find. So,
yeah. Hey, listen, if there is a penalty-creating action in this game by Atlanta United, I'll just take that.
I want the penalty made.
You've only had 2 penalties all year. You should have had a third against Cincinnati. I don't know what VAR was doing on that one. You probably should have had a couple others that, again, I mean, in one case, VAR was rebuked. Not VAR, the center ref, in the 3-1 loss to Orlando. So, I mean, you should have had more, but you've only had 2. So, and, honestly, that Orlando situation, that wasn't really a shot-creating action either. That was a dangerous high boot to Brooks Lennon on a clearance. So, if I see Atlanta United creating potential penalty situations, I'll be thrilled. Because that would tell me that Atlanta United has been cohesive in the final third. And then you just figure out who takes the penalty when you get there.
Here's your wild cards. Adam John has taken one against Atlanta before in a shootout, not in a game situation. He did take one last season for Phoenix and made it. So he is 1 for 1 in game action. Brooks Lennon has taken one and made it in the CONCACAF U20 Championship in 2017. There were some calls for Brad Gazan to take it. He has not taken one in action. I don't think he's taken one in a shootout. I forgot about somebody who I think has the most experience taking penalties if he is on at this point, and it's Cubo Torres.
Yes.
Cubo Torres has made 13 and missed 1 in his career.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
He hasn't made one since 2018. That was his last one in Copa MX for Pumas at the time. Houston, he missed one and made 5 in 2017. And in 2014 with Chivas USA, he made 5 of them. And in 2013, he made 1. So he's got the most experience of anybody who would be there. He's got more than Barca.
Experience, but I would just say no.
But
yips right now.
But penalty yips are a different thing. But if he scores on a penalty, does that get him going? Maybe so.
True.
Well, let's have a 2-0 lead then, and maybe send him to the spot.
We haven't seen him from the spot. I'd actually send him up instead of Barco. I would.
This has come up before, by the way. I mean, I remember during the 2018 season, we had that conversation a lot about. I think it was Miguel Almiron.
Yeah.
Where Joseph was on this roll, and Miggy's finishing had become suspect, and I think I even wrote a column about it. About how, that was also a year where Atlanta United, I think, got like 15 or 16 penalties. I mean, they were averaging more than half a penalty per match, or 1 penalty every 2 matches. And I even wrote a column about it for that reason. Like, okay, if Almiron's got the ifs right now, send him to the spot and calm him down. Look, if Atlanta United's going to make the playoffs and do anything in it, you need Cubo Torres locked in. Frankly, he has not had it this year to this point. If that's the way to get him going, all for it. You got to win this match first.
Yeah, I'm going to have my hands over my eyes and looking through my fingers. I think no matter who goes to the spot.
Yeah, it's because it's 2020.
Yeah.
It's that kind of year. Again, let me be crystal clear. I'm not saying that Cubo Torres is the reason why Atlanta United is in the position they're in right now. I'm not saying that in the least. He is who he is. I don't think he has it this year, unfortunately. So hopefully, like you said, there is something that could get him going. Yeah, he got a little bit of bad luck in Miami, really. I mean, he had the rebound goal off Barco's miss that was ruled out because of encroachment. So
and the injury setback.
The injury setback's been huge as well. Yeah, so it's not his fault. I mean, when we think about what's happened in general this year, it's not really anyone's fault situation. It's just been all the things that could go wrong have gone wrong.
All right, we've got a busy rest of the day. What's our schedule looking like, Mike?
We do. So 2:00 stoppage time on the 92.9 The Game Facebook page, and then 7 o'clock for the Five Stripes countdown. The kickoff is not until 7:55 tonight, so we'll have some extended pregame talk, and then, of course, we'll have a full-time report for 1 hour after the match. Do you guys have anyone coming on after me?
Yes, Doug is about to come on.
Okay, and then I'm going to make this real quick. John, congratulations on your Gabby Award. Best sports anchor in the state of Georgia. That award should be named after you, John, for what you do to help grow high school athletics in this state, what you do to help grow the sport of soccer in this state, and you have been integral in that for years. The work that you and Jason and Jared have done to grow the sport of soccer and help more people understand it, I could not think of anyone more deserving. The hard work that you put in, literally crisscrossing the state during the high school football season, I could not think of a more worthy recipient for that. And I'm so glad that the judges, whatever state they're from, but the judges recognized your hard work and that you have been honored accordingly. I'm very, very happy for you. Proud to call you a friend. You're a great guy on top of it, and I'm elated for you. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, my friend. That means a great deal. It's absolutely a tremendous honor, and I'm gonna peel back the fourth wall here for a second. It's the first individual award I've ever won for anchor.
That's unbelievable.
I've won collaborative stuff for feature and things like that, but this is the first one that I've won as a solo.
That's unbelievable to me. So I'm glad we no longer have to say that. But you do an amazing job, and I'm so thrilled to know you and call you a friend, and thank you for all you do and continue to do for high school athletes in our state and to help grow the sport of soccer. You do an amazing job.
Thank you, my friend. It's very humbling to hear.
Yeah, and Mike, congrats for you winning an award as
I
well.
was going to say, he's burying the lead there, too.
No. Well, okay, let's be clear on two things here. First of all, I did not win. Second of all, that was a Atlanta Hawks entry. I think I may have said 2 words on the whole entry. That's Steve Holman and Miller Pope, our engineer, and our producers. I don't even know how my name got on that entry. So, no, that's a Steve Holman, Miller Pope award. I appreciate you saying that, but it would be absolutely wrong of me to take credit for that.
Now people are asking which one of us would take a penalty.
Well, I mean, clearly Jason, right?
I've taken a penalty. I've taken a few penalties before.
I haven't taken a penalty since the 7th grade.
Yeah,
so
I'm about there too. So
who do you trust more?
I'm way out of form, but I'm trying to remember if I missed a penalty. I don't think I have, actually.
There you go. There's the attitude to have.
I've saved a penalty when I was in goal, but I don't think I've missed one. So, yeah, I'll take it.
Unfortunately, we are not on site, so we can't be teleported into its
Nobody wants me taking that penalty right now. I'm not in any form of practice. No Applebee's. That's for sure. All right. Well, I will see you at 2:00 for stoppage time, and then we get everything really rolling.
Yeah. And the wheels are up. Atlanta United is en route now.
Okay,
so
all is
game
good.
is on.
All right, cool. Thanks, Mike.
See you guys.
Mike.
All right, let's see how virtual producer Rick handles this one as we get Doug Robertson on the line. And maybe it won't be quite as difficult as it was with Mike. Fingers crossed. Come on, Rick. Learn from the first time around. Rick might not have learned anything. Yeah, he did. What's up, Doug?
How are you?
Dude, we're good. Sorry about the little bit of a delay. We've been completely out of whack this morning. It's been one of those days already.
All right.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I got to, once again, figure out how to get this off speakerphone.
I was wondering. It sounded a little odd.
It does this to me every time, like it's default or something, but it's not my default.
He's back in the office.
I don't think so.
It won't get rid of
Good.
it.
I think we're going to create a technical difficulties Olympics between Doug and John and see who wins.
Oh, if it's for the most technical difficulties, it's got to be me by
Well,
default.
Yes. I mean, because you have the most opportunities, too.
That is correct. But then would you go to technical difficulties per episode?
No, what I'd do is I'd create like a series of challenges for you two to solve.
Ah, okay. Because if you went to the show equivalent of points per game and did technical difficulties per
forget
episode,
it. No, you'd be done too in that regard as well.
Okay.
Any luck, Doug?
No, I don't know why. I've been able to turn it off before pretty easily, but it won't turn off this time.
That's okay. We'll make it somewhat quick. We have seen that Atlanta United's charter is on the way to Orlando, so game on. You reported earlier that there were no other positive tests that came back from this. It's not going to be easy for Atlanta United going in to face Orlando, whose form has maybe dipped a little bit, but who is still one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. What do you think Atlanta has to do to get a positive result tonight? What has to change? What has to be the number one change?
It has to score first.
Fair enough.
When it scores first, I believe it's unbeaten this season, but I think it's only happened 5 or 6 times. They're like 5-0-1 or something like that, I think, when they score first. And they've yet to win when the opponent scores first. So it's pretty easy. But, the fact that they just can't seem to consistently do it, even show the energy to do it in some games, is the weird part of all this.
So when you look at Orlando and what they've done this year, Doug, I guess I've got a couple of different questions when it comes to Orlando, but what has impressed you the most about Orlando this season compared to other years with Oscar Pereja in charge?
That the defense is holding up. Typically, at least the past 2 seasons, the team would play well at the beginning, but then the defense would just make inexplicable error after inexplicable error, particularly in the final half of the season. But that's kind of stopped now, and they're fairly solid at the back, and that is giving them confidence going forward, and it's all working out well for them.
This is an Orlando team. I mean, Oscar Pereja, I think, is one of the best managers in the league. I feel like he started to settle on pretty much his best team. There's some questions about left back, whether it's going to be Kamal Miller or Kyle Smith. There's some questions about the midfield. He's moved into a little bit more of a 4-4-2 in some ways, with Nani playing up higher. This front three, Daryl Dike, Nani, and Chris Mueller, is that one of the best attacking threesomes in the league, in your opinion?
Yeah, easily. Mueller, he's kind of cooled off a little bit.
He has.
But he's still dangerous. I think it's still someone that you have to kind of game plan for a little bit. DK is such a physical presence, and it's going to be interesting to see if he plays tonight, how Atlanta United is going to handle him without Miles Robinson, because they don't really have another center back who physically is big enough to body up with DK. And Nani is Nani. He's, I don't want to say he's a physical freak because he's a professional athlete, but compared to last season, he looks, 100% more fit.
Yeah.
Game after game, and it's impressive. He looks vested in the success of the team, and that's always a good thing to see from a designated player.
So who is in your running for Rookie of the Year? Because I would imagine that Daryl Dike is a part of that conversation.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the other. I haven't even started to think about the end of the year candidates yet, to be honest with you. But DK is the first that comes to mind.
But
yeah.
then as first year folks, not even if you're getting that list together, but other first year folks that would have impressed.
Well, first year pros. That's the thing about Rookie of the Year is it's not first year in the league. It's first year pros. I think it's got to be DK. Nobody else has really come into mind that's been better than him.
I can't think of another player, and I'm sure there are some. There's I can't remember his name. I don't want to fill the airtime with me thinking. There is another guy in the Eastern Conference for Red Bulls, of course, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's a midfielder.
You're not thinking Caden Clark, are you?
No, not Caden.
Yeah, okay, I was about to say somebody else. I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll have an award special maybe during the international break after the regular season. We'll figure this out.
That was a good question. I'm sorry. If y'all had tipped me off that you were going to ask me that, I would have done a little more research.
No, I can't think of anybody else either. I think that means it should be Daryl Dike. He's the favorite of it. Atlanta's in the spot they didn't want to be in now, where you've got to get a win on the road against Orlando, and you might need one against Columbus too to get in.
And some help.
Yeah. Where do you rate their chances? If you were a teacher here looking ahead, what are their chances of getting into the postseason?
Not good. Not good at all.
Needs improvement?
Very much it needs improvement. They've wasted their chance to control their destiny with some poor play and some bad decisions. And now it's coming to roost. I wrote yesterday, and it appeared on AJC.com, or you can find it on my Twitter feed at Doug Robertson AJC.
There you go.
Nicely done.
That, this is a team that all season has not really shown any urgency until it falls behind. And it's fallen behind often this season. So by that same kind of logic chain, will now being below the playoff line be that kick in the pants that the team needs to show some urgency from the first minute. And we'll see. And if they don't get 3 points tonight, and they've really got – you can't get 1 point doesn't really help a whole lot. They've got to get 3. I just don't see them making the playoffs.
So then, question that was posed on our Twitch pitch earlier today, if the game comes down to a late penalty, who do you send up to take it for Atlanta United?
Laurentowicz, if he's on the field.
And then if he's not?
It would depend upon who's in the 11. If you're trying to get me to say Barco, I can't.
No, I'm with you. I would if he's confident. I think he's the primary penalty taker. But if he wavers at all, no, you got to have somebody else take it after what happened last time.
Yeah, no. Maybe Moreno if he's on the field. What a good time to get your first goal and an important goal for Atlanta United. But I doubt that he'll be on the field that late if he's a starter.
That's the tricky thing is I went back and looked, and there's not a lot of experience from the spot, to be perfectly honest. I'll have to check Jeff, but Cubo Torres is the most experienced player from the spot. He was the primary penalty taker for Chivas USA in 14 and in 13 and for Houston in 2017. And he's only missed one of, I think, 15 opportunities. But it's been a while, and he hasn't been very confident in front of goal in any way this season. But he's your most experienced one.
Yeah, and again, you don't know if he's going to be on the – if he starts, I really don't see him being on the field, that late in the game. But, a lot is just going to depend upon if Steven Glass is going to basically roll all the dice on this game. It's 3 points at Orlando or it's 3 points at Columbus, which is going to be, the easier to get. And I guess he can't make that decision until the game gets going and he sees what's happening.
Oh, quick update. Larenowitz is 12-0 from the spot. He converted this year. That was his first penalty since 2015.
Yeah, Atlanta United's only taken 2 penalties. The one that was wiped out, Barco's first miss, doesn't count because of the encroachment. So they're 1 for 2 this year, I think. 1
for 2, and it's Jeff with it. And that was the first time he had been at the spot since 2015.
So muscle memory.
Yeah, that would probably be where you're turning to, right there. Before we get into predictions, Doug, who's going to play in the back for Liverpool?
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. They are they are unfortunately snake bit this year, but, Klopp has kind of, I don't want to say planned ahead, but he has played a lot of the kids in a lot of games last year. So I think that's what you're going to see. They were denied the opportunity for an emergency signing, the thing that Barcelona got last year. Liverpool apparently doesn't have the same status or stature.
Premier League doesn't have the same rules, is the better way to put that one.
You can't pick up Fred Brathwaite again.
La Liga had a rule that they've finally gotten out of the rule book.
So I think you're just going to see the kids. You'll see Robertson. You're going to see Trent Alexander-Arnold. You're going to see Joe Gomez. You're going to see the young man who started last night.
Reece Williams.
They signed another left fullback before the season, whose name escapes me at this moment. But you could see him back there too. Center back, I don't think Liverpool is going to change their formation.
No.
But I think that's what you're going to see. And hopefully Joe Gomez can stay healthy because he hasn't had the best of luck in that area the past couple
Joe
of seasons.
Gomez in bubble wrap for your future.
Yeah, it's a weird thing right now, man.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's like Toronto when they had all the injury problems at center back. Sporting last year had all the injury issues at center back. It's tough.
Atlanta United at left back.
That's true.
2 years ago when George Bello made his debut because there was no one else.
Yeah.
The other 4 left fullbacks had all gotten hurt.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah.
You've just got to find a way. It's going to take one of the kids stepping up for a good while until that January window opens up. All right, let's get into predictions for tonight. Atlanta-Orlando kickoff will be just before 8 o'clock, nationally broadcast on TV on FS1. John, what are you thinking?
I broke out the Velvet Driving Slipper Lock of the Week last night.
Wow, you went
I'm
Lock of the
sticking
Week.
to it. Yeah, Velvet Driving Slipper Lock of the Week. It's 2-1. I think that, who did I say last night? I said Moreno and I said Barco, I think, were my two. And then for Orlando is probably something off a set piece, so it might be like Mueller or something like that. But 2-1. Jarrett has a shock 1-0 win. Defense keeps the mistakes down. They steal a late goal to take points. Offense still struggles, but individual brilliance wins out. Nick says 1-1. Atlanta goes up early and concedes late.
Doug, what do you think?
First, congratulations to John on his recent honor.
Thank you,
Very
Doug.
happy for him.
Thank you.
Well deserved, and I'm glad to know you.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw for Atlanta United, which
it's not horrible.
A point is good, but
Yeah.
And that's my giant foam cowboy hat lock of the week.
Still waiting to see this giant foam cowboy hat. 'Cause I haven't seen it yet. Jarrett must have been listening to the run-up because I went with 1-0, and I think it's going to be Jurgen Damm on a counter. I think it'll be middle of the second half on a counter. I think they're going to come in and be a little more defensive early on. I do have a big question, like you said, Doug, about who handles DK. We just don't know if Anton Walks is going to be ready to go. I think he would get the assignment if he's ready to go. If he doesn't, I mean, you could be looking at Jeff Lorenowitz on the back line or George Campbell coming out to play in his second appearance in MLS, or Lawrence Wyke, who's played a little bit of everywhere but hasn't played center back in a while.
But Campbell didn't even make the bench last week, and Edgar Castillo, who I think was injured, did. So I don't.
Castillo's back. He's not injured. We talked about this.
I think he was still on the injured list last week for some reason.
Maybe
but made the bench.
We talked about this with Campbell. I don't know. I haven't heard any issues with him. He hasn't played, and that's the number one issue. Is that he hasn't played.
I don't think you're going to start him in this game.
You might not have a choice. That's the problem. That's what's crazy.
Wyke maybe, but he hasn't played center back in a while
Since Cincinnati. Second week.
Yeah. I'm not disputing your choices. It's just, just looking at the fact of it. Walks is not as big or as strong as Robinson.
No, he's not. No.
But you're right. They may end up having to do it with two players. The defensive midfielder sitting almost right in front of DK and the center back behind DK just to try to deny him the ball.
And that's called a segue, and that's perfect because that's what I think Atlanta's going to have to do early is they're going to have to because they don't really have a matchup there, whoever it is. Either it's a young player in a Wyke or a Campbell if you have to go that direction, or it's Walks who's not really built to deal with it. So you got to get some extra help. You almost got to bracket DK a little bit, have somebody in front and back. So that's going to take away another number going forward. You're going to have to sit a little bit more and look to play on the counter. Orlando hasn't been a team that's dominated possession a whole lot lately either. That can take them out of their comfort zone, giving them the opportunity to sit and counter a bit. This has been, Oscar Pareja has had this tendency in his career where late in the year where things get tighter, he gets more conservative.
Yeah.
And I think you can give them a little bit of a shock to the system by making them play with the ball here early. But that means you're going to have to get Moreno, Hosetu, Hindman, whoever it is centrally, Dom, Barco, Mulraney if he gets in here to start, Gallagher if he gets in here to start, Adam John becomes a focal point if he starts up top, or Kubo Torres would be the same. But you're going to have to get whatever speed you have to get out in transition quickly if you're going to get numbers behind the ball, or you're going to be under siege. And Mueller and Nani will hurt you if that's the case. You've still got to be threatening going forward. It's not easy, but that's kind of the hand you've been dealt today. I think that's going to be the best way to get that result. Whether it's a point, which keeps you alive, or you steal 3, and we're talking about a crazy game tomorrow. Who knows? But I think it's going to have to be defense first in a lot of ways because of the hand you've been dealt.
Yeah, I don't think Orlando is going to sit back and and wait. I mean, they know the
They
stats
have
as well as we
in the last 5-6 weeks. Like, that's been their primary.
They know the stats as well as they do, and they know if they score against Atlanta United, they've got a really good chance to win. They need the 3 points too.
No, of course, Doug. But what I'm saying is this. It's not about them being defensive. It's about that's the way they play right now is more on the counter. They like to draw teams out and then hit in transition. That's what's played to their strengths. That's where they feel they're their best. So if you make them play a little bit, you might have some space in behind. I just think that's the only hand Atlanta's got. And Orlando's been wanting to play more on the counter here lately.
All right.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. It's been Pareja's thing. It was a weird thing in Dallas was they'd be really good, and late in years, they would get conservative, and it'd be a little strange because they'd go away from things that worked. I've watched Orlando do this a little bit here lately, and I'm not necessarily getting it. We'll see what they do tonight. It's going to be interesting. What else you have on the agenda for the AJC today?
Nothing. Just waiting on the game tonight in this rainy weather. Going to have lunch with my daughter this afternoon, so I'm happy about that. Don't get to see her too often. And then wait on 7:30 to get here and watch that game with one eye and keeping an eye on the other results to see how it affects Atlanta United.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching tonight. We'll have Southern Fried Soccer afterwards. Man, it might be a late recording, though. I'll
stay up for you, Jason.
Oh, I appreciate it. It might be, yeah. I mean, if kickoff is going to be close to 8, that's 10. We'll probably be off the air at 11. So like 11:10, 11:15, because I'll do it from the studio because we're over at Colony Square tonight.
All right.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you then, and thanks as always, Doug. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. We'll see y'all.
Be good.
Doug Robertson, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Doug Robertson, AJC on the Twitters. Atlanta United News Now on the Facebooks. And yeah, this is gonna be an odd one, a very, very odd one. I am really fascinated to see what happens if Orlando has to bring the play, because they've gotten away from that here lately and how they handle it. Look, they have the players to do it. But you go back and you look, and this is the point I want to make on this. The way they've shifted their team a little bit, and some of this is down to not having Mauricio Pereira, because Pereira is their number 10. He is their creator in the middle of the park. They've went to Andres Pereira, Junior Urso, Sebastian Mendez as their primary 3 midfielders. None of them are necessarily creators. Your creation is coming from Nani and Mueller, and Mueller hasn't been great here lately. So you're sitting back more, you're absorbing pressure and then getting out on transition. That's what has been the best for them. Without Pereira and with Pareja's tendency to get more defensive as you go. And as we talked about yesterday, everybody gets more conservative the later in the season. Pareja has been maybe extreme in that, and it's been a little surprising. The goals get tighter this time of year. You're not going to find as many. It's all about good defenses. It feels like he is prepping for the playoffs a little bit here. Can you make them have to do something different that they're not comfortable doing at the moment? I think you can try, and that might be your best approach. Doug makes a good point about how you deal with DK because, Robinson 1v1 with him, you trust that. Walks 1v1 with him, Meza 1v1 with him, White, Campbell, Lorenowitz 1v1 with him. You don't love that idea. But maybe it's a situation where it is a midfield of Lorenowitz and Adams tonight with only one of Moreno, Heinemann, Hosetu to start. And that means Jeff is almost like a third center back / kind of old school stopper where he's playing very deep and you bracket DK. You make it difficult for them to find DK. Okay, if you're playing 3 central midfielders who are all disruptors, all transition guys, and Mendez, Junior Urso, Andres Pereira, you want them to have to figure it out. They're going to try to find Nani where they can. You've got to try to deny as much to him, keep him out wide. You've got to keep Mueller out wide. If you bracket DK with 2, if you keep Nani and Mueller out wide, don't let them come inside and hurt you. It's going to take at least 1 to do that, maybe 2. Let's put 3 guys in that mix right now. That's 5 that have very strong defensive tendencies to deal with here. You could see a situation where for a long time tonight, it looks like Atlanta's defending with 5, 6, 7 and attacking with only 3, and you're looking to play on the counter. It might be the only real option you have on the table. And this is where you're at right now. Atlanta United doesn't want to be a team that does that. You go back to DNA and identity conversations, and that's it. They don't want to play that way on the whole. Well, right now, you've got to find a way to get a result. A win, most likely, is what you need. But a draw doesn't hurt you. A draw keeps you alive, and you got to stay alive. Defending first and playing on the counter might be the way to do it. The thing that scares me about it is the timeline. You played Saturday. You regened on Sunday. You trained on Monday, but you were at least missing one person in that training who had tested positive on Sunday. You didn't train yesterday. Now, you could have tried to make up the gap with some Zoom, with some conference calls, with some video segments, things like that you're not bringing the people together, but you're saying, hey, Jeff, we want you to play in front of DK like this to deny service to him. Look at how this worked out. Look at how this worked out. You're going to try to bridge that gap, but you didn't get a chance to work through it. That's hard because you're going to ask the team to do something differently tonight if this is the way it plays out. If you are more defensive, you just might not have a choice. Welcome to 2020.
Yeah. Welcome to 2020. A couple before we go, rapid fire on Twitter. Mr. Green, the Falcoholic, says I think he thinks Atlanta has a 1-1 draw written all over it. John in the 38th,
could absolutely see that.
Nani levels at 90+2. We wonder what could have been. Rich Ransom is in. He says, listening to the show yesterday, you talked about the new coach in Atlanta United's playing style. Does the front office tell the new coach, this is the playing style, take it or leave it? Then again, this is what Ernie Stewart did to Jim Curtin in Philadelphia.
But no, it's you're hiring somebody who fits the playing style. It's not you're not interviewing in this case. You're not interviewing Sam Allardyce because he doesn't fit the playing style. Like, you're not even having the conversation. There's no point. So in a way, yeah, you are saying this is the playing style. Now, Jim Curtin was a little different because he was there, and they came in and said, this is the way we're going to play. And he adapted. But in this case, you're the club. You're recruiting and talking to people who you think fit the way you want to play. And that's where you're at. So, I mean, in a way, yeah, but that's what everybody does. You know, if you have a style. Now, like a Real Madrid, for example, they don't have a style. They've never really had a style. It's about stars. It's not about we play this way. Barcelona, it's we play this way. So their list of coaches is going to look very different than Real Madrid's would because Barcelona is not going to hire Zinedine Zidane, for example, because he doesn't really have an identifiable style. It's about putting the individuals in the best spots to win their 1v1 battles and win games because he has great talent. Barcelona is going to look at different people than some other clubs would because they're looking for somebody who fits the way that they play. I think Atlanta is going to be the same way. They're going to look at their list. You know, Javier Aguirre, for example. He is out there. He is available. He has said he's interested in MLS. His style, little bit of a stretch. He's a little more conservative than Tata Martino and Frank de Boer are. And I know people will start to laugh about Frank, but you look at his Ajax teams, you're not calling them conservative. I don't think he ever got to where he wanted to be to open up more, but that's a different conversation altogether. You look at Miguel Herrera, for example. Miguel Herrera will adapt to the players he has, but he generally does like to play on the front foot. He doesn't like to sit back and defend. But he's not a 4-3-3 guy versus a 4-4-2 guy versus a 3-5-2. He doesn't really care. That actually is a good fit. So, yeah, you're looking for somebody who fits the not so much playing style, because I think that is a more narrow definition, the identity. And the identity goes back to speed, goes back to being fluid, goes back to being flexible, goes back to controlling games and being the proactive team in the match. That's what Atlanta United's identity is, and they're going to hire somebody who fits that.
Last question on Twitter to catch us up comes from the Colonel, and it is an X's and O's question.
Oh, and hold on. Christopher Abel, Frank de Boer is not more defensive than Sam Allardyce. That is so 100% not true. Sam Allardyce is one of the most defensive coaches you will ever find, period. Not true. I know the narrative about Frank. I gotcha. I know. It's a good chuckle. But no. Look at the second half of last season. Sam Allardyce would have been like under a table trying to watch Atlanta United actually playing open the way Atlanta did last season. He couldn't handle that. That would never happen under Sam Allardyce.
X's and O's question from the Colonel to wrap up the Twitters.
Okay.
Pass back to the keeper. Restart is indirect inside the 6.
If they pick it up, right?
Yeah.
Pass back if they pass back and they pick it up, then it's an indirect kick where they pick it up. Correct.
Okay. Defense puts everyone on the goal line between the posts. How do you attack? Blast at the wall hoping to deflect into the box, quick touch and shoot below the bar, pass back to create space for a shot.
I would go more with the latter. I don't think you just blast it. It's indirect. I mean, if the other team is smart and if like one person's over the ball and they just line up and blast it, you just duck. You just let it go in. If you pull some misdirection, maybe you get people out of thinking that way, or you just expect somebody to not react the right way. I wouldn't do that. You have to take a touch. I would try to redirect the shot coming from a different space a little bit and get that group moving, because that'll give you more of an opportunity to score. And I would try to hit it about waist high, where it's difficult for the people in the wall on the goal line to figure out what to do and how to play it. If you hit it low, they can just kick save it. They can get down. If you hit it high, they're going to try to head it. High is better than low, but I would go like middle. I'd go at the midsection. I would pick one of them on one side of the goal and blast it at their midsection and see what they do.
One last thing, Ricky Ricardo adds from Sport Build, Jesse Marsch has been ID'd as one of the 3 potential managers to replace Lucien Favre at the end of the season if Borussia Dortmund decides against extending his contract.
Yeah, I think this has been out there before. Not really a shock, and this is why Jesse Marsch isn't leaving Austria to go anywhere right now. He's in a really good spot to be, up for any Bundesliga job that opens. And now they don't. It's like Frank Lampard looking at Christian Pulisic. They don't look at him as the American. They look at him as, he's done really well. He's been in Austria. He's done well. He's the Austrian. No, he's not. He's American. Christian Pulisic, he's German because he played at Dortmund. No, he's actually American. I don't like him as much. It's the same player you just looked at, Frank. Come on.
Man. Stop it.
Man.
Exactly.
Foolishness. Okay. Yeah. Tonight it's on FS1. There's been questions about that. There it is, FS1. The broadcast starts at 7:30. Kickoff is going to be closer to 8 because they're squeezing a pregame into the window. So we'll be on at 7 on 92.9 The Game, and we will take you all the way up to kickoff. We'll take you all the way through the final whistle. Then we'll have the full-time report, and we'll take you through another hour of post-game coverage. So come hang out with us, radio.com, 92.9 The Game. The Atlanta United app can get you as well. The radio.com app can get you as well on your phone. The link is easy. We'll put the link in our tweets today to make sure you can listen to it online. All kinds of different ways if you want to listen to the local call. Stoppage time, 2 o'clock, facebook.com/929 The Game. That'll be Mike and I getting deeper into Atlanta, Orlando. Maybe we'll go into some of the tactics of what we've been talking about with how it could look like. Atlanta defending with 7 and attacking with 3, what that looks like. Anything else we need to touch on before we go? I think you need to run, right?
Yeah, it is countdown to kickoff on the GPB Sports Facebook Live at the top of the hour, and then Recruiting 2020 will be put in the books later this afternoon for air on a Friday at 7.
No new high school football drama with parents separating to allow kids to go to different schools?
Not at the moment, but Pope High School here in the Atlanta area has had to postpone a region game, and that has cascaded things into a bit of a troublesome situation in rescheduling for their particular region.
Yep, that is 2020 in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. Champions League today, 1:55 is when the first games start. Second ones are at 4 o'clock. We'll also have the AT&T countdown to kickoff. Actually, probably closer to 7 o'clock then, with kickoff being closer to 8. So sometime between 6:30 and 7 on Atlanta United social media channels. We'll have the lineup for you and break everything down on Atlanta, Orlando, on ATL UTD, on Facebook, and on Twitter and on Instagram and all those places. Mike and I will have that for you. So that's it. Colonel said in the case with Swansea, they went quick touch and low blast from the 6 and no goal. Yeah, I'd go higher. I'd make people figure out, do they want to protect their sensitive areas and make them have to make a decision.
They do.
Yeah, so I would go like midsection. That's what I would do. I'd be rude about it. All right, that's it. Christopher Abel, you get one headphone device in one ear and another headphone device in another ear, so you can listen to Countdown to Kickoff and pregame at the same time as Mike and I clone ourselves. That's what happens. We're good at these things now.
Yes.
Y'all have a good rest of the day. See you for stoppage time. See you for pregame. See you for the game tonight. It's a huge one. It is a huge, huge day for Atlanta United. They have to get a result. They really need 3 points, and they need to keep Orlando from beating them in Orlando. So fingers crossed. Much platio.
Much platio.